On the evening of Thursday, June 17th, 2021, at approximately 10:25 p.m., a 34-year-old man named Bilal Hamze walked out onto Bridge Street in the heart of Sydney's central business district. Bridge Street is not the streets of suburban Sydney's gang violence. It is 2 blocks from Circular Quay, in one of the most surveilled corners of the entire country. It is the streets of bankers and barristers, of corporate restaurants and harborside towers, and it is the last place anyone in Sydney's underworld would have predicted a contract killing to be carried out. As Bilal Hamze left a restaurant on Bridge Street, multiple gunmen opened fire in what police would later describe as a hail of bullets. The shots cracked off the heritage sandstone of the surrounding buildings. A black Audi sedan was waiting nearby. The gunmen jumped in. The Audi sped away into the Sydney night. Within 60 seconds, the killers were gone. Bilal Hamze, struck multiple times, was rushed by emergency services to St. Vincent's Hospital, where he was pronounced dead a short time later. No members of the public were injured. Within hours, the burnt-out shell of the black Audi was found abandoned on Fleming Street in Northwood, on Sydney's lower North Shore. The contract had been paid. The killers had vanished. And in one Thursday night in the city's CBD, the underworld war that had begun 8 months earlier in a quiet suburban driveway in Condell Park reached its most shocking moment yet. The man dying in the ambulance that night was Bilal Hamze, 34 years old, the cousin of Brothers for Life founder Bassem Hamze, the son of Maha Hamze, who had survived a shooting at her own front door in 2013, the brother of Ibrahim Hamze, who would survive his own assassination attempt just 2 months later. This is the story of how Sydney's worst gang war reached the heart of the city's CBD, and how, 5 years later, no one has been convicted of pulling the trigger. If you love stories like this, real downfalls, real betrayals, the hidden side of Sydney's underworld, make sure you subscribe to Sydney Crime. New stories every week. Bilal Hamze was born in Sydney in the late 1980s to a Lebanese-Australian family with deep roots in the working-class southwestern suburbs of the city. That family background shaped his early life. By the time he reached his early 30s, he had become one of the most recognizable figures in Sydney's modern underworld. He was the son of Maha Hamze. He was the older brother of Ibrahim Hamze. And he was the first cousin of the most notorious name in modern Australian organized crime, Bassem Hamze, the founder of the criminal organization known as Brothers for Life. Bassem was, by 2021, deep into a 40-year prison sentence at Goulburn Supermax, the highest security correctional facility in New South Wales. From inside that prison, Bassem had been convicted of running drug operations using a smuggled mobile phone, making over 19,000 calls in just 6 weeks at one point in 2008. Brothers for Life had grown out of that empire to become one of the most feared organized crime networks in the country, and Bilal Hamze, on the outside, was part of the family that carried the name. But for Bilal, the violence had started long before October 2020. It had started in 2013. That March, his mother, Maha Hamze, was inside her home in Auburn, in Sydney's west, when a gunman opened fire through her front door. Bullets came through the wood. They came through the wall. Maha was struck in the legs and hips. She survived. The shooting was, according to reporting at the time, sparked by a debt recovery dispute connected to her son. From that moment, Bilal Hamze understood something that every figure in Sydney's underworld eventually learns. The contract on you, once written, does not have an expiry date. It can be paid in a week. It can be paid in a year. It can be paid in a decade. It will be paid. In October 2020, the war he had been preparing for since 2013 broke open. On the morning of Monday, October 19, 2020, his cousin Majid Hamze, Bassem Hamze's brother, was shot dead outside his home on Simat Avenue in Condell Park. At almost exactly the same time, Maha Hamze's home was sprayed with bullets for the second time in her life. And in another part of Sydney, the home of a member of the rival Alameddine crime family was also attacked. By sunset on that single Monday, every senior figure in Sydney's underworld understood what had just begun. A war between the two most powerful organized crime families in New South Wales, the Hamzis and Hamzis of Brothers for Life, and the Alameddines of Marylands. NSW police would later describe the Alameddines as one of the biggest drug trafficking organizations in Sydney, estimated to be generating approximately $1 million Australian dollars in profit every single week at the peak of their operations. By the morning of October 19, 2020, the Hamzi side of the war had taken its first major casualty, and the Hamzi brothers, Bilal and Ibrahim, had become the most obvious next targets. For the next 8 months, Bilal Hamzi lived as a man hunted. New South Wales Police Criminal Group Squad Commander Robert Critchlow would later confirm publicly that there was a known contract on Bilal Hamzi's head. Detectives had personally warned him of the threat. They had told him he was at risk. Critchlow would later put it bluntly to reporters. He said he had been warned that he was at risk. He said that the advice was not received in the sense it was given. He said he sought to live his life the way he wanted to, and he had made some choices. Bilal Hamzi had been told. He had chosen anyway. He kept moving through Sydney. He kept being seen at restaurants and bars. He kept living the visible underworld lifestyle his family name demanded. And he kept walking into rooms where eventually somebody was always going to be waiting for him. Meanwhile, thousands of kilometers from Sydney, a separate police operation was about to detonate inside the global underworld in a way that would change the calculus of Bilal Hamzi's last week alive. On June 8, 2021, just 9 days before Bilal Hamzi died, Australian Federal Police Commissioner Rhys Kershaw stood in front of cameras to announce one of the largest organized crime operations in modern world history. Operation Ironside, the Australian arm of the FBI, led Operation Trojan Shield, had just resulted in 224 arrests in Australia and more than 800 arrests globally. The operation had relied on a secretly FBI-controlled encrypted phone platform called ANOM. For 3 years, every message sent by users of that platform had been read in real time by American and Australian police. The platform had been distributed throughout the global underworld by a Sydney-born Comanchero-linked drug lord named Hakan Ayik, and on June 8, 2021, every cartel boss, every bikie president, and every senior figure in the Australian underworld learned at once that they had been thoroughly compromised. The arrests were enormous. The seizures were enormous. And the rage inside the criminal world at being so completely played was enormous. 9 days later, Bilal Hamzi was dead. New South Wales police would later say openly that they did not know whether the killing was a continuation of the Hamzi-Alameddine War, a reaction to the Operation Ironside arrests, or both at once. What is certain is what happened on Bridge Street. At approximately 10:25 p.m. on Thursday, June 17, 2021, Bilal Hamzi walked out of a restaurant on Bridge Street near Circular Quay into the open city night. Multiple gunmen were waiting. The bullets that struck him came from more than one weapon. He fell where he stood. The gunmen sprinted to a waiting black Audi sedan, climbed in, and disappeared. Emergency services arrived within minutes. Bilal Hamzi was rushed to St. Vincent's Hospital, where he died a short time later. The Sydney Central Business District was, at that moment, closing down for the night around the kill scene. Bridge Street between George and Pitt was sealed off. Forensic officers conducted a line search along the gutter under the pale yellow of the Heritage Building lights. And at the same time, on the other side of the Harbour Bridge, on Fleming Street in Northwood, the burnt-out shell of the black Audi was being discovered by uniformed officers. The killers had set their own getaway car on fire to destroy evidence. They had vanished into the suburbs of Sydney's lower North Shore. They have never been publicly identified. Within 24 hours, the New South Wales Police Homicide Squad established Strike Force Englorie to investigate Bilal Hamzi's murder. Strike Force Englorie was supported by the Criminal Group Squad, the Raptor Squad, and officers from across the central metropolitan region. The investigation relied heavily on electronic surveillance, the same kind of technical capability that had powered Operation Ironside. For more than a year, Strikeforce and Glory worked the case in silence. And then on Tuesday, September 13th, 2022, New South Wales Police Homicide Squad Commander Detective Superintendent Danny Doherty held a press conference in Sydney. A 32-year-old man was already in custody at Silverwater Correctional Complex, which is the largest single correctional center in Australia, on remand for the alleged attempted murder of Bilal Hamze's brother, Ibrahim Hamze, in North Sydney in August 2021. Police then charged that same 32-year-old man with the murder of Bilal Hamze. Investigators alleged the man had been in the black Audi getaway car at the time of the killing. Detective Superintendent Doherty put it to reporters in a line that would be quoted in every Australian newspaper the following morning. "You're in the car at the time of a murder, then you're going to be charged with murder." Police did not know whether the accused was a hired gun or whether he had been personally involved in the planning. They confirmed only that more than one person had been involved in Bilal Hamze's killing and that the inquiry was ongoing. As of 2026, the case against the accused getaway driver continues to work its way through the New South Wales courts. The other men police believe were involved, including the shooter or shooters who actually pulled the trigger on Bridge Street, have never been publicly identified. The contract that police confirmed had been placed on Bilal Hamze's head has never been traced back to whoever paid for it. The burnt-out Audi at Northwood yielded no usable forensic evidence. The murder weapons have never been recovered, and in the years since Bilal Hamze died, the war he was part of has only deepened. In August 2021, just 2 months after Bilal Hamze was killed on Bridge Street, his brother Ibrahim Hamze survived an alleged assassination attempt in North Sydney. The 32-year-old, now charged with both attacks, remained on remand. In late 2022, the head of the rival Alameddine crime network, Rafat Alameddine, left Australia and relocated to Lebanon. In 2025, evidence emerged in unrelated court proceedings that Rafat Alameddine had allegedly offered a contract worth $1 million Australian dollars to have Ibrahim Hamze killed. Multiple other Hamze and Hamze associates have been shot dead in the years since. Multiple alleged Alameddine associates have been arrested, charged, and in some cases killed themselves. The body count of the war that began on a Monday morning in October 2020 continues to climb. Whoever paid for Bilal Hamze's killing in June 2021 has never been charged. In Sydney's Underworld, your name is not just your name, it is your inheritance. Bilal Hamze did not choose to be the cousin of Bassam Hamze. He did not choose to be the son of Maha Hamze. He did not choose to be the brother of Ibrahim Hamze. He chose only what to do with the inheritance he was given. And on a Thursday night in June 2021, on the busiest commercial street in one of the most surveilled corners of Australia's largest city, the price of that inheritance came due. Thank you for watching. If you want to see how Sydney's most powerful crime boss has run an entire drug empire from inside Australia's highest security prison, and how he is still pulling the strings of his organization from behind bars, the next video on your screen is one you will not want to miss. Make sure you subscribe to Sydney Crime so you never miss a downfall. I'll see you there.